UNRWA demands that all parties exercise maximum restraint and abide by their obligations under international law to protect civilians. It also demands humanitarian access and the establishment of secure conditions under which life-saving humanitarian assistance can be delivered and that enabled civilians are able to evacuate safely. From Yemen, our colleagues at the Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs say that airstrikes and armed clashes have reportedly continued over the last 24 hours, with reports of medical facilities being seized by armed parties. It has called on all parties of the conflict to refrain from targeting civilian infrastructure. The World Health Organization estimates that more than 540 people have been killed and some 1,700 people have been wounded by the violence in Yemen since March 19th. Increasing numbers of people from Sada and Sana'a reportedly moving to Amran Governorate, where local partners estimate that up to 28,000 people have arrived since the crisis began, while in the south, more people continue to arrive in Abyan. The violence continues to restrict humanitarian access despite challenges. Aid partners are working to import critical aid supplies, mainly to support hospital services and to deploy emergency medical teams. We'll go to you, Michelle.
Sure. On Yemen humanitarian access, can you confirm that the Secretary General asked Saudi Arabia, as the leader of this coalition, for a 2-hour daily window of access, and what was the Saudi response?
No, I'm not able to confirm it. Michelle, go ahead. And then
Yeah, Stefan, given that the situation in Yemen is so bad and the bombardment has been going on unabated for over 12 days now, is the United Nations concerned that this crisis may mushroom and comes out bigger than the Syrian one, given that we have 25 million Yemenis who are in poverty even before this conflict started?
Look, I mean, we're not going to engage in a compare and contrast exercise here. What we're seeing in both places is violence and civilians suffering. What we saw in Yemen is that even before this, as you mentioned, the number of people in need of humanitarian aid was very large. In fact, larger, I think, than what we even need in the Sahel. It is important that the parties return to the negotiating table. Mr. Ben Omar is currently in Doha, where he is talking to to Qatar, in Doha and Qatar, where he is talking to Qatar, which is currently chairing the GCC. And we do hope that the parties will return and find a political solution to the current crisis.
Until they find such a solution, will the Secretary General call for halt of these attacks?
Well, obviously, we would like to see a return to the political dialogue.
Going back to the situation in Yemen, obviously this conflict is an internal one. It's between those supporters of the former president and other parties, Ali Abdullah Saleh and Houthis and others. Now, how does the United Nations view that Hadi does not enjoy anymore any real popularity on the ground? He doesn't control people, he doesn't control land. Is he still legitimate in Europe? Because these statements sound to be early, and they don't relate to
our
the
position on that hasn't changed. I'm not able to judge all of that from here. I think Mr. Ben Omar has put a huge amount of effort into bringing people around the table. He has done so a number of times. We've now seen the situation unravel with the levels of violence that we've seen, and it's important that people go back and sit around the table and try to resolve those differences. Yes, yes, in the back.
Right now, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is essentially slaughtering civilians in Yemen. People are dying left and right, and a Russian consulate has also been attacked. Now, this clearly violates the UN Charter. Is anything being done about the situation in Yemen?
Well, I think the situation in Yemen is very much on the forefront of the discussions of the Security Council. Very recently, I think we have flagged our concern at the loss of civilian lives and the need for greater humanitarian access. No.
Yeah, did you say the report on Haiti was going to be made public?
I did not say that.
Will
I said I would say I would have an update for you as it is shared with me.
What do you mean an update?
Hopefully conclusion to the report and what was done with the peacekeepers. Yes, the triangle over here.